Hello and welcome again to the creaking salt-soaked tables of the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. We're your hosts, Endgrove and
Conquest.
And today we'll be sharing a pint and talking all things Runeterra and beyond. We have been gone for a minute. I know, stuff was moving around, stuff was changing. Conquest had his own stuff going on IRL. I had final exams, took up a lot of time. But we're back.
Oh yeah. But we are back at it again. Brazen Hydra Pub is not going anywhere, neither are we.
Feels good. Feels good. We actually have a lot to talk about and some stuff that I really enjoyed recently. So we're going to talk the Callista Ruination event and the PvE event that's going on in Wild Rift right now. It's still active. We'll talk about keeping old content relevant, looking at World of Warcraft, how they're doing it. You have the Pandemonium, which is the Pandaria remix. You got the what's it called? The classic Season of Discovery. We're going to talk
Oh
Riot
yeah, of
MMO
course.
raid
Yeah.
bosses. Yeah, that's big. Riot MMO raid bosses. I think we go through a couple
Ooh.
of the characters and see who would make a good raid boss. We both know, I think me and you talked about it a lot. Skarner got me thinking about what could be a good raid boss. And I really feel like everything kind of sets up for the MMO now. And then we're going to talk server meshing to allow for mega servers. Are the days of single servers over? Is that a thing of the past at this point? So that's interesting.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Those are
yeah,
the
yeah.
main
That sounds kind of
topics.
crazy actually.
Yeah, server meshing is
Yeah,
big.
all
It's a new
right.
technology. I think it will be implemented in the Riot MMO in some fashion.
I hope so. If it makes mega servers an actually viable thing, like and not how they are on, other MMOs that we know of, then I'm all for that.
Maybe we talk about that first. I feel like that piqued your interest. So server meshing, what it
Yeah.
is basically is picture this. So you know how you have a single server for the whole world, like for Azeroth or for Runeterra, you'd have a single server, and that would host in Classic WoW would be all the players on that server. And anyone on that server, if you're in all the way in Elwyn Forest, or you're all the way in Orgrimmar, or in the Runeterra's case, if you're all the way in the city of Demacia or you're in Noxus, it doesn't matter. You're on the same server, right? In Classic, that doesn't matter where you are in the world, it's one server. In retail, it's a
Mhm.
couple servers that mesh together. That like not really
Yeah.
mesh together, but server, whatever they call it, server
Yeah, you
sharding.
flow in and out of different essentially like servers. Yeah, you're able
Yeah.
your character without you even knowing will hop between miniature servers to balance out the population so there's no lag from
Yep.
like, overpopulated areas to kind of spread people out. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
like
And
it
so
personally. I think it really hurts MMOs.
I hate it. I mean, even the word sharding, I think of actual shard, like when you
It's
shard in real life, like sharding, not sharding. It's like a D, but it could pass as a T to me. Every time I hear it, I think someone's sharding. So it's not a good
Yeah, whoever
experience.
came up with that term, I feel like even they did not like sharding. It
Probably not.
helps. It hurts more than it helps the game, in my opinion. I would rather have a freaking lag fest, honestly, than what
I
sharding does
agree.
to the community in MMORPGs.
Yeah, I agree. You need a server community is so important. And
So
I actually
important.
think even the word server and community is going to be null and void with this new technology. Like we talk so much, me and you have talked so much about how important it is that when you see someone, like you're experiencing the world and you see those people and they become recognizable, like you want to hear about people, like there was this, I remember some freaking feral druid on Classic WoW that people were talking about that was killing everyone. Like this guy was just ganking people, and so it was. I forgot the name, but there was a specific feral druid that everyone knew this person was killing people consistently. That's their whole thing is they just kill people, and it doesn't matter what level you are. Like if they see you, they're gonna kill you. Uh,
My
and like
God.
they developed a name for themselves on the Classic WoW servers on the R
Yeah,
server,
stuff like that
right?
happens all the time.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
on
dude.
whatever it was called. I forgot the name too.
Oh,
Globulus,
Worm
right?
Rest? Oh,
No, no,
Grobulus. Yeah. Oh,
Globulus.
Grobulus is like that's the pinnacle of what an MMO server should be like, right?
Yeah.
At least for me. Especially watching shout out to Barney B's videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Dude, his Scarab Lord series, that encapsulates like the perfect like MMO experience in my eyes. Is
Yeah.
that it was an experience entirely like 99% community driven. That 1% was just Blizzard laying out, the landscape for these people to play on. Other than that, it was a
Yep.
freaking chess game between these guilds. And you can't do that with stuff like sharding because everyone's freaking teleporting all over the place. Nobody
Literally
knows
impossible.
what actual layer of the server they're on. Everyone's on different layers of the server. So like it ruins experiences like that. And that's what I want out of an MMO. So sharding just completely takes away like the peak experience you can have in an MMORPG, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so this new technology, right? What it does, obviously everything needs to be run somewhere. Like it needs a server. Server meshing doesn't take away the servers. But it really is the
Hmm.
same as your home where you mesh a network, right? It doesn't take away your internet box, but it meshes the network to the point where if you're on the first floor, you're connecting to that first floor mesh network, right? You're connecting that one Google mesh puck. If you're on the second floor, if
Hmm.
you put a mesh puck there, you connect there. Third floor, you connect there, but it's all on the same network. Now, the way
Yeah.
meshing works is basically, let's say that you're in Demacia versus you're in High Silvermere, which are very close together, right? And each server
Hmm.
originally, let's say each server holds 10,000 people. Well, with server meshing, you would have 10,000 people in Demacia and 10,000 people in High Silvermere. Those would be the same world, the same server. And let's say someone from High Silvermere is looking into Demacia, you'd see all the people that are in Demacia, but they would technically be on a different server. Like you could be standing at the
Whoa.
gates of Demacia looking in, and you'd see everyone in Demacia. Like it'd be as if you're there, but they would technically, that would all be being rendered on a different server than what you're on, and it's seamless. Like you walk through, the second you step into Demacia, you're now on the City of Demacia server versus you were on the High Silvermere server or wherever you are around Demacia, whatever they want to, Jandali, which is pretty close to Demacia too. That's how server
Man.
meshing is. And so it takes away the fact that it's a now different servers and everyone is on the same world, but different servers render different areas. If you're a World of Warcraft player, which I feel like a lot of Riot MMO players are going to be World of Warcraft players transferring over, this would be like
Yeah,
if you're
I agree.
in if you're in Stormwind City versus Elwyn Forest. Elwyn Forest would be a separate server than Stormwind, and you're looking in, but you're on a different server when you're in Elwyn, but you could still see everything happening in Stormwind, even though that's being done on a different server. So the person could be in Stormwind on a different server, having a slash say conversation with you in Elwyn Forest, and you're actually on different servers, but it's like you're on the same server. You wouldn't even notice.
Man, that's insane. Because like, if the servers are like these separate servers taking place in separate areas, if they're communicating that much, I wonder what the actual difference is between those servers. You know what I mean? Like if they're communicating so much to the point where you can see the other players on the other server and seeing what they're doing and everything like that. I wonder how that properly like spreads out the load of, player interaction and things like that across the different servers
Yeah.
if they're all
I think it's
communicating
to
to
the
that
point
degree.
that let's say that you shoot a missile, right? And you're on one
Hmm.
server, the animation for that missile when you're loading it and like shooting it out will be rendered on your server. The second it crosses into the other server and does the damage to that person, that damage is being done by the other server. And so they're actually partialing out the load of your single shoot, like your single animation, you shooting, whatever. That's all done on two separate servers. But it's so seamless the way they integrate together, the way
Wow.
they're
Okay.
transferring data that you won't even notice,
That's insane. If that
right?
happens, yeah, that's huge because yeah, now there's like practically no limit other than like, monetary cost. And I'm sure if you have too many servers on one world, that would cause issues. But like
Yeah,
this sounds
but you can
borderline
choose.
limitless. Like,
Yeah, it is because you could technically split Demacia into two separate servers if you wanted. I mean, it's two
yeah,
separate servers, but they're
exactly.
meshed together. Let's say Demacia is too much. There's too many people in Demacia to the point where this 10,000 cap for this server is being overutilized. Well, okay, we'll split Demacia in half. Now 20,000 people can be in Demacia. And now it's just half of
Oh,
Demacia is one server and half of Demacia is another server, but they're meshed, so no one will ever know.
man,
Now,
dude.
now we're talking something crazy. Now we're talking like, okay, this is a freaking world at this point that you're
Yeah, if you
entering the
can need
same
to
world as
stick it.
everyone. And obviously it's going to be like a US, world, and then
Yeah, it's
there'd be
gonna
like
be
a
US and there's gonna be like I'm assuming a
South
Chinese
America and
server. It's gonna
yeah.
be EU. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like the
assume they're still
Chinese
gonna
gold
have those,
farmers
but
will all be on
like,
the China server, that kind of thing.
yeah. Oh my god, we can't act like there's not gonna be freaking multi-boxers day one. My
Yeah, no,
god, I really hope they
that's
don't
always
allow
gonna be a problem.
multi-boxing. Oh my god,
There
please
needs to
don't.
be level of control. I 100%
Yeah,
agree with that. We've always talked about like how players need to police themselves, but I do think there needs to be some level of control and heavy-handedness when it comes to like multi-boxing, when it comes to add-ons. Like I think those things need to be considered as cheating, and it needs to be taken as seriously as doing something like that in like if someone multi-boxes in Fortnite and they have all four characters, they multi-box them so it's like one single character to the point where they can just uh shoot once in a direction and that's going to kill anyone in that direction, right? Because all four characters are so in
yeah.
sync
There's like four
that
sniper rifles, just all shoot
yeah,
simultaneously and just one
it
shot
was supposed
someone.
to be exactly. It was supposed to be a single. It was supposed to be a single shot. Now it's four shots exactly lined up to destroy you. Even like a
Yeah.
shotgun, like okay, one person was shooting. Now there are four people shooting at you at this exact same time. That's cheating. For some
Yeah.
reason, I don't know why MMOs are at least Blizzard is very lax on this stuff, probably because it benefits
Oh,
them
they are.
financially when it comes to someone multi-boxing. But
Oh
there
yeah, yeah.
needs
Because
to
that
be a
person's still
point.
buying the game like 4 times. They're paying 4 subscriptions. Yeah.
You could say the same thing for Fortnite, like it's increasing their player count. If they're buying skins, they have to buy the skin on all four accounts. You could say the same thing for anyone. Even if it's free to play, they still benefit if someone's multi-boxing, but it needs to be taken as this is cheating. Same with
Yeah.
add-ons. Like add-ons are cheating. In any other game, I don't know why. Any other game, add-ons is cheating. But in MMO, it's like, no, it's not cheating. I don't know where the disconnect is. You get an add-on for Counter-Strike that lets you see through a wall, that's cheating. You get an add-on for World of Warcraft that lets you see mobs through walls. No, that's just part of the game. What?
God, that's true, isn't it? I
It
never
makes no
thought about it
sense.
like that. And at first I was like, no, surely they wouldn't allow that if you could see like mobs through all. But then I'm like, no, we already
Yeah, they
have
would.
that. You can already see, like if you want, you can get an add-on where you'll see every type of mob on the map
Yeah.
just instantly. They'll all just be
Yep.
ready for you to look at and see exactly where they are and kill them.
Yeah.
Same with like mob spawn timers and stuff like that when they
Any other
respawn.
game, it's cheating. MMO, oh no, that's gets gameplay. And these it's crazy to me. Like I honestly, there needs to be some heavy-handedness when it comes to how much control they exert, and that's just to maintain the health of the game. When it comes to like
Yeah.
multi-boxing, it needs to be banned. Like you're done. That's it.
Mhm.
GG.
Oh yeah, I agree. It should not be tolerated because it just worsens the player experience for like 90% of the players in the game because the other 10% are multi-boxing.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
it's even worse with free
I
to play.
think. Oh yeah. Oh, if they go free to play, it's gonna be multi-boxing central, dude. People are just gonna make as many accounts as they want, log in a bunch, and now they have like singing 4 mages running around.
Hmm.
Heck no, dude. They better not tolerate that. But yeah, even with add-ons, it's like the biggest issue I have with add-ons is that it furthers the gap even more between the casual player and the sweat, you know?
Yeah,
It's just another thing under the sweat's belt that the casual won't have, to a point where now Riot or Blizzard or whoever's running this MMO now has to compensate the difficulty of like raids and dungeons for these sweats with a billion add-ons that makes them even better at the game for no reason. Like
wow.
in Blizzard's case, the raids are clearly built around add-ons,
Yeah, they
right?
are.
It's clearly built around deadly boss mods, which is the most popular add-on on World of Warcraft, and tells you exactly what to do in the boss fights
I
and
don't
when to
use it.
do
I
them.
refuse. But yeah.
Just don't tell your raiding guild that. Jeez.
Never.
You just dropped it
I'm an
on the
add-on free
podcast like
person.
that?
Me and you have talked about this even in classic WoW and Season of Discovery, which is a point where add-ons will literally make your life so much easier. Like it's insane. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
even questing, it'll make it so much easier. I still don't use add-ons.
Oh man. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I use Questy. Questy tells you some like extra information on just like where mobs are and stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
great.
feel like I need it. I mean, like I can
Yeah,
get by without it, but like
It's harder.
I can,
It,
yeah, exactly. Like I can't watch a YouTube video while playing WoW if I don't have Questy, because then I really need to like focus in and be like, where am I? These guys, these mobs are on the coast of freaking like the Echo Isles. Okay, I need to actually think about which coast are they talking about in the Echo Isles, which freaking island are they talking about? That kind of
it's
stuff.
not always clear.
Yeah, compared to just like opening the map and seeing the red X's and being like, I have to go there.
Yeah, it happened to
It's
me.
definitely,
Like
it's a different
even
experience. Like no one experience is worse than the other, in my opinion. They're just different experiences.
yeah, but I so like even happened to me where even at the beginning when I was in starting out in Mulgore, which is a place that I know very well, uh I didn't get one of the quests that were supposed to that like literally doubled up. You know, like one of them's to kill Quillbor and get this, the other one's to kill Quillbor and get that. Um, like one's to get belts, and
Oh
the other
yeah,
one was just to kill them. I forgot to get the
yeah,
other
yeah,
quest,
classic.
and yeah, and so basically I ran back, turned in that quest, and I realized I got the other one, and then I had to run all the way back and then kill them again to get something else. So it's like, yeah, you'll waste time. But I did feel like a lot of the time when I was reading the quest, like it felt more instead of the so I downloaded Questy after I got halfway through the Barrens, right? Just to try it. I deleted it literally by the end of my PlayStation, I deleted it because I didn't know where to go. And so I downloaded it just to experience like, oh, how easy it is to use it. And right away, like I just felt like now I was just completing tasks and I was just doing it felt like I was more robotic. Like I'm not in the world anymore. Now I'm just following my green circles on the map and doing that. And I go kill and I didn't now I'm not reading quests anymore because it doesn't matter. All I do is accept it and it'll tell me where to go when I look at my map. And so I felt like it took away that piece. But I don't think that I think Questy solves a problem for Classic WoW because the game was developed in 2004. Today, you don't have to read quests to understand the game,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It,
Nowadays, yeah, it's different because like classic WoW with Questy is still way less information than what you get now in retail
yeah,
by far. Yeah, to a point where now retail I don't even bother reading the quest text. Like I still have to read
yeah,
the quest text in Questy to understand what the heck I'm doing. But in retail, it's literally like the questing is not even a really, it's not a pillar of content anymore.
no,
I hope Riot does not fall down that hole. Very much so. Questing should always be important, even once you're past the first expansion. Like questing should still be exciting. You know, I think Final Fantasy 14 takes it too far the other direction, in my opinion, where questing is like 99% of that game, and it's like I like questing, but I also
no,
like
no,
doing group content in my
yeah,
MMORPG, you know? And it like questing is typically solo content. It's typically the main pillar of solo content that you'd be doing.
yeah.
But there's a balance there. I think Classic WoW perfected that balance that could have been completely on accident, honestly.
Oh,
But they
oh yeah,
perfected that balance between community-based group content and questing. It's just I don't know,
because they
dude. That
kind of
balance
went
between
hand in
like
hand.
dungeons and even group quests. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Your quests will lead you to group community, like naturally community forming content.
yeah.
And that
There's the quest with the centaur, and they start like raiding whatever you kill a bunch of centaur, and then there's the one like, oh, now you got to fight off the centaur raid. This is in Classic WoW. I literally just did it in Season Discovery, not like maybe a week and a half ago, and you literally can't do it without help. Like you just can't.
yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah,
die.
that
Like the
happens a
guy's an
lot.
elite. Yeah. So that like it leads in the whole time is group content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love how naturally like even I always think of that freaking goblin in Duratar, Fizzle, I think is his name. You have to get Fizzle's claw.
Yeah.
That quest to me is iconic because that's the first quest as an orc that you run into that you need a group for. You cannot do this alone unless you severely outlevel it to a point where it's not worth it anymore. So
Yeah.
chances are you're going to be standing in Razor Hill or doing whatever quest you need to do while talking in Duratar general chat, looking for some people to fight Fizzle with. And it's so magical to me. Like that's your first experience doing group content before you even hit a dungeon is a quest actually. And I think
Yeah.
it's so genius. And you don't see that stuff in modern day MMOs anymore. Like Final Fantasy 14 is the closest thing to it by far, where they still have like the occasional like big boss world quest where everyone's going to gather around and it scales to everyone's level, so you still need a big group no matter what to fight a big bad in the world. And I always think that's cool in Final Fantasy 14, but in World of Warcraft it was like borderline like mandatory. Like Final Fantasy 14 is just kind of for fun. But World of Warcraft questing content like that was super immersive for the world and for the community that's being built up as you level. It's
Hmm.
just, dude,
And
that game's lightning in a bottle, man. They got so many things right, and never know if it's intentional or not.
I think a lot of it was just pure luck. And
I
I
genuinely
think a
think
lot
so
of
too.
and a lot of it was too that the thing that they nailed, the thing that made World of Warcraft insane is that at the time, like there wasn't the communication tools that we have now. Like there was no Discord. Social media wasn't as big as it is today. Like in 2004, I mean, you would log on to World of Warcraft just to instant message people. Like I think
Yeah,
World of Warcraft came out at the same time when people were using AOL. I don't know. Maybe
probably.
maybe I don't know. Yeah,
I
probably.
think
Like this was like
early 2000s.
yeah, like, that's a
Yeah.
different time. Like you have to like that alone, and then the game was great. But also, just going back to the add-on thing. So today you can see that Questy isn't even needed. Like they already have Questy implemented into the game, and the reason for
Hmm.
it is you have to say, okay, why are players using this add-on? Like what even in Classic WoW, like if Classic WoW came out today, to come out with the exact same game wouldn't be right. Like there's a lot of things that players, okay, they're using Questy. I would say if only a couple players are using it, okay, why? Okay, that's fine. But if a lot of players are using it, then why are they using it? And the answer is that reading quest text is not the best way to deliver a story. Like I guarantee you, like in retail WoW now, when you tell a story, a lot of it's voice acted, a lot of it's cutscenes, a lot of it's like, okay, you'll accept the quest, but then the character will literally talk to you and tell you what you're doing and why you're doing it. You don't need to read anything to understand it. Reading is for players that want that extra knowledge, like that extra deep lore. Like no, like for example, me in League of Legends, I read the characters' biographies. I guarantee you a lot of players don't care, but it's an option, you know? And that's the thing is I think that if you make it the deeper lore optional, but the high level lore, the lore that every player needs to know to understand the story, needs to be delivered so well that you don't need a questie. At the point where they understand what they're doing and where they're going. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But honestly, at the same time, I think that the typical questing should be the more common approach, while the more like cutscene, here's like the main event, here's exactly the plot of what's going on. Those should be, those should exist, but they should be like more rare, I guess. You know, like
Higher
they should
level,
definitely
different levels.
appear
Yeah.
pretty frequently, like frequently enough to where people are gonna run into them, of course. But like at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem with WoW's storytelling right now is that it's so cutscene focused around a main cast of characters when
Oh, it's very
what
linear.
yeah, exactly, that's the problem with, I feel, having cutscenes means you have a specific story to tell, right? Like you're not gonna have a cutscene for this poor farmer and these like giant bugs that are killing his crops and you need to kill the bugs, right? They're not gonna have like a like a crazy story for that. But the nice thing about older World of Warcraft questing is that that's just one of many simple stories that paint a bigger picture of the world you're living in. And I like that way more than the freaking dragon people we're dealing with right now. Like the five
Uh,
characters that matter in this for the next 2 years, you know? And that's like the
yeah.
whole stinking story of World of Warcraft right now. Like that's
Yeah.
all we have to tell. So like, you know what? I'm gonna say it again, dude. The main character is the world.
Always.
And I think cutscenes can get in the way of that a little bit. I think they can kind of
Wow.
detract from the world and focus in on a certain moment, which I think is okay, but to just not make that the focus of like everything. I think
Yeah.
the small questing bits here and there should be bigger and more common than the like main plot of a scenario of specific big characters.
questing is hard. Questing is hard to do right.
Yeah, there's a lot
Like
of ways you can
even
go through it. Many ways
yeah,
to skin a cat.
yeah, but it's just I just don't want to see add-ons, and so I feel like there needs to be a way to do it where maybe the way to do it is like a questy option in the game, like not an option, like it is there, so you can just kind of go through stuff if you want. And then the main story needs to be very I don't think everyone needs to experience everything. And that's part of the
Yeah,
reason
I
why like
agree.
the main
I
story
agree
has
very
all the
much, actually.
cutscenes. Yeah. Like I think cutscenes need to be not every cutscene needs to be HD 4K ultra resed beautiful uh fully done
Like ultimate
amazing.
climactic battle with like
Yeah.
insanely heartfelt like storytelling, crazy. No, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but like if you're in Demacia, okay, if you're in Noxus, you're never going to experience those Demacian quests. Does that mean the Demacian quests are just boring, click through, except the quest? No, they need to have like cutscenes. They need to be done. They don't need to be amazing. They don't need to be the same cutscene that a Demacian player and Noxus players experiences when they're raiding the freaking whatever. If they're raiding the Frostguard Citadel in the Freljord, which is like okay,
Mhm.
a joint raid. But
Yeah.
Demacia needs to have their own stuff, and it's okay that not everyone experiences it. And that's part of that's another big problem that I guess we can get into. But like I just opened up a can of worms. But you get what I'm saying. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
need to
did.
be
You
great, but it
absolutely
needs to be
did.
good enough that a Demacian player needs to leave Demacia without feeling that they need to add an add-on called Questy to just click through everything and get through everything as fast as possible. And they leave Demacia knowing what they are, that they're Demacian and what Demacia is, even if they
Yeah,
don't read
I
anything.
very much agree with that. And I mean, like, the thing is, after a while, your brain just becomes questy if you're running through the game a second time, right? Like, hopefully the quests are good enough and enjoyable enough to where the second time through, if you're making like an alternate character or anything like that, different class, you're playing Demacia again, you're already gonna know these quests and you'll fly through it
Mhm.
compared to your first time through. So
Yeah.
it's not like it needs to be this like slog because you don't have questy. It's like your first time playing through, it's gonna be an experience. It's gonna focus more on that atmosphere and that like small world storytelling, being part of a bigger world. You don't get that if you just have like markers on a map and telling you where to go, what to kill.
You know what I like? I like that when WoW does the I've seen this before or I've done this before option. Like you can make you're going through a quest line and it's on another character on your account and you can literally click I've seen this before or I've done this before. I already know
Oh
what
yeah, I
happens
like
and it'll
that too.
skip through a lot of it, you know?
Yeah, like let's go through like a whole scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to do it again, like you can, like you don't have to do the Broken Shore launch event on every single character in Legion. You did it on your main character, and then on your alt, you can just say, "Oh, I've already done this," and it'll just skip you ahead. You're in Dalaran now. You're on the Broken Shore, so they don't have to take away from that and make it streamlined for future players to just be like, "Oh, I'm still enjoying it. I still like I can fly through it." You can just skip it. There you go. And even
Yeah.
then, like when it comes to repeatable content, I really like what World of Warcraft's been doing with making old content relevant again.
Oh yeah. I mean, so like for the longest time, it felt like the people behind World of Warcraft were afraid of splitting the game up. Like they didn't want to split up their audience. They didn't want to split up
Mm,
like the people that are loyal to the game and divide them. But ever since Classic WoW came out and that was a massive success, they're splitting the game up every which way, dude.
yeah,
We now basically
three
have
ways.
game modes for World of
Yeah.
Warcraft is where we're at this point. We got like four different versions of Classic WoW all running at the same time. You got like hardcore, SOD, yeah, like classic
Cataclysm now.
era, now classic Kata. Yeah. And that's not even including like the classic TBC and Wrath servers that are still around, I think.
Hmm.
So like, and now we got Mop. We got the bring Pandemonium.
Yeah, which
So
is
yeah,
great because Pandemonium is
they're not afraid to split
amazing.
the game up now.
One,
Yeah,
it
I think it's a
changes
genius
the
idea.
past. Yeah, because like it's different. It's almost like a classic season of Discovery where there's a little bit of a difference here. I don't know if they've changed anything in like lore wise, if there's anything different there like that to that point. but it's supposed to be a different timeline, an alternate timeline where you're aided by the Black Dragonflight to go back and basically re-experience Pandaria in a little bit of a different way. And the Black Dragonflight, these are some that have like been allied with Nosdormu or whatever, and they just want to see if something would be different, but it's in a safe environment because it doesn't matter. Basically, it's all going to get canceled out. This whole timeline doesn't matter. But if you're a new player right now, you could come in at Pandaria, be experiencing it with a bunch of other people. It's like feels so alive, so fresh. You're experiencing Pandaria from the start to the finish. You're going through all the Pandaria raids. You're gonna get a complete story. Like if you're a new player, right now, this runs for like 90 days, right? And I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure that after that, you're gonna start getting the pre-patch maybe for the War Within, whatever. But like if you're a new player, this is amazing for you because you're gonna get Pandaria as it should be, as it was back
Yeah.
then, and you're gonna get the full story compared to before, where it's like you'll get some choppy stuff, and then okay, now you're zipping all over the place, and you end up in the newest expansion. You have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, this is probably the best that leveling in retail WoW has been for a long time.
Yeah,
This is what that they should have been shooting for from the start, which is
yeah,
get the current player base into the same zones, doing the same stuff as new players
yep,
without making it feel like, leveling means nothing.
yeah. It doesn't
Because
have
in
to be
this case,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, they're just giving people a reason, like they're giving a reason for current players to play alts and to just like, try out new content from level one. And it's giving new players a great time to jump into WoW. Like, yeah, but Pandemonium was absolutely a success.
Yeah, and
No
it's
way
just what are they
they said.
offering? Just some transmog at the end of it. That's literally all you're getting. If you missed out on Pandaria, okay, now because I definitely didn't do Pandaria, but I could go back
Mm.
and do all of Pandaria right now as if it was. I can do all like the raids and stuff. It's not like classic; it's faster than that, but it's like kind of like Pandaria with the current game model. Like you have all the talents and everything. So it is different, but it's still the full Pandaria experience. So if you missed it, like, wow, okay, now you can have the Pandaria experience and do all the raids and everything that you missed out on. If you're a new player, like this is, I would tell a new player now is the time to play WoW and try it out and do Pandaria. And then you go into like the current day content. And so I think that like these are all things that the Riot MMO needs to see. Like we're talking about server meshing, we're talking about how they're making old content relevant, how to do questing when it comes to like not just being boring about it and like yeah, it's okay if not everyone experiences everything. These are all things that I think that hopefully the Riot MMO team is looking at and taking like now is the time to like look at stuff and get a plan. And I'm sure that they are. There's no way they're not looking around and seeing what's happening and what's good and what's bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, luckily, I think the way they're setting up Runeterra right now is in a good way that these locations like Noxus and Demacia being the obvious like first places we'll probably see in the MMO. I
Yeah.
like the idea right now they're setting up these places to evolve in the future and to
Yeah, they
actually
are.
change. Right? Yeah, that's how I feel just the current like problems that Demacia and Noxus face like internally and externally. To a point where like I think we'll have reasons to go back to them. And I like that a lot for the sake of a new player who was going to come into the Riot MMO like 4 years after launch, when we're like maybe like one or maybe even two expansions in at that point, depending on how they go about it, if they even have expansions.
Yeah.
Like, I hopefully that new player way late to the game will still be seeing new players as soon as they jump in, and they'll be interacting with the current player base immediately. That's what Pandemonium's doing, and that's what I hope Riot sees out of this. That this is probably the most new player friendly thing the Blizzard team has done, and it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. So that I completely agree with everything you just said. I think Pandemonium, even though it's called Pandaria Remix, Pandemonium sounds way better. And so
I
that's
agree.
all done great, and that's how you make old content repeatable. But I also don't want to get stuck in the loop of like everything needs to be repeatable. For example, I hadn't played World of Warcraft on basically the whole of Dragonflight. Then I hopped
Yeah, neither have
in
I.
at the newest patch and I got all the way to the end. And what did I do? Like, even without even trying, like, I literally tried to avoid it. But the best way for me to gear up, the best way for me to get gear as fast as possible was to do LFR. And I feel like it robbed me of the experience because I kept pushing and I kept seeing, okay, like here's this fiery dragon and he's been causing all these problems and I understand the story and okay, now I literally want to do the raid. And then I did it on LFR and I feel like it robbed me of the experience of actually doing the raid and fighting to complete it, and getting to that final boss and earning that like last cutscene and completing the expansion. I feel like it robbed me of it because I was just like, okay, now I'm done. And guess what I did? I did what I always do, which is I went into PvP because I felt like at least that's always feels fresh.
Yeah, at least you have a chance of dying in PvP.
Yeah,
No,
it
I
robbed
agree.
me.
LFR, I was actually in the same exact situation as you, where I was like getting some idea of what's going on in the story, and then I had to do LFR because that's just like by far the best way to get gear. And I'm not normally the kind of person that will like optimize the fun out of a game for themselves. But in this situation, it's such a good option to take. Like LFR will give you such good gear and such an easy way to catch up really quickly that you'd feel stupid if you don't. Like you feel like you're wasting your time if you're not doing LFR
Yeah,
in the game.
and no one's gonna take you in a normal raid unless your gear is up to a certain level. You have to get a certain item
Yeah.
level, and that's the fastest way to get there. But then by the time
Oh
you get there,
yeah.
you've ran LFR for 2 weeks. You did the whole full raid
It's not.
twice, and you're like, "Do I care to do it on
Yeah, you've
normal?"
already seen the whole
No.
raid. Yeah, literally
Yeah,
exactly how I was. I was like, I've already seen the whole raid multiple times now. I don't know why I would want to do it like a sixth time. Now I could finally do normal. It's like I've already done it like 5 times, dude.
I just feel like
I
there's a
I
and there's
hard
a
agree with
difference.
that. LFR really
Yeah,
just spoils the fun of raiding for me. If I'm jumping into the middle of an expansion, I feel like LFR is borderline required for just good gear to catch up, and it kills the current raid.
yeah. And some people might say, "Oh, but look at Mythic Plus. People love Mythic Plus, and that's repeatable." That's not the same thing as a raid. Mythic Plus is a
Oh yeah.
small like dungeon that's 20 to 30 minutes in length, and that can be repeatable, and it's always changing by changing the fixes or whatever. That's almost like a
Yeah,
challenge
and
mode kind
also
of thing. Like
yeah, I
I
agree. It's more of
love
a challenge mode.
yeah, I like
It's
Torghast, and Torghast was repeatable. I mean, not, I understand a lot of Torghast was trash, but towards the end,
yeah.
I think they fixed a lot of problems and it was pretty good. So
Okay.
there's certain things that are repeatable, but I don't think a raid should be repeatable because that's like part of the main story. It takes a lot of work. It should take a lot of work and a lot of
I
coordination.
think
And
yeah.
that's where I'm saying like, okay, that shouldn't be repeatable.
I agree. I think rating is something you work towards. I feel like the rating content, in my opinion, the rating content should be the reward. Being
Yeah.
able to play through the raid is your reward for gearing up. It shouldn't be the gearing up process.
Yes.
It's supposed to be the climax of everything you've done up until that point. Like you
Yes.
have that definitive goal of I want to kill this big bad. I want to kill the big boss at the end of this raid because he looks cool and he might drop cool stuff.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Like
Mythic Plus should be used to get you to the raid. Like that's my that I feel
yeah,
like that should have been my
I think
route
even PvP to
to
some extent.
yes. Those I feel like PvP right now I should be doing PvP to be able to upgrade my gear and then do Mythic Plus to upgrade my gear whatever to get into a raid to do the raid. That should be
Yeah.
what I was doing. Instead I did LFR. I completed the raid now. I was like, well, I'm gonna do
Yeah, you
what
just
I
did the
guess
raid.
I'll just do PvP now. Like instead, I should have been like, man, I want to get to 1600 rating so I can upgrade my gear so I can get better gear in like the weekly chest or whatever. Then I'll be able to get into like a good raid and complete the raid. That should be what I was doing. But now I have no goal at all. I just go.
Yeah, I was just gonna get to that actually. It's a very good point. Is that I think that's something that Riot should definitely look at for their MMO is if they're gonna do end game content, there needs to be something to aspire to because I don't
Yeah.
think many MMOs have that for end game content. It
Hmm.
used to World of Warcraft. It used to be rating. Rating used to only have one difficulty. You were either geared enough for it or you weren't, and that
Yeah.
was it. That was what you did at endgame. It's what you aspired to was the
And
raid.
then by the time you completed that, another raid would come out. That's even harder.
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
was.
And honestly, if there wasn't a new raid out by then, and if you got like the gear you wanted from the raid, yeah, you just stop playing till the next patch comes out. and you
Yeah.
get pumped for the next patch because you're satisfied because you're happy with
Or
where
you go
you're
do
at in the game.
PvP and destroy people
Yeah.
because you got all the gear.
Yeah, literally that. Like, because you accomplished the thing you set out to. Right now, most MMOs endgame content doesn't really have that one thing where it's like, this is what I'm striving for. At least as like in terms of like outside of gearing, right? Like I personally don't care about gearing up for the sake of gearing up because I know it's gonna be obsolete next patch.
Yeah.
I care for the experience of doing something in the current patch.
With the gear. Yeah. Like I
Yeah,
want to be able
with
to
the gear
upgrade
that
my
I
gear with a
got.
goal. Now I don't have a goal.
Yeah, other than just the gear itself, and that to me is
Yeah.
not fun at all. And I feel like most people feel that way. I feel like
Speak.
that's not a hot take for the mainstream casual player base of an MMO. They don't
Yeah.
care about the big number as much as people think in my eyes.
They don't. I'm with you on that. But speaking of gearing, I have a question for you. Okay? Because I have my
Hmm.
answer, but I want to know your answer. Okay.
All
So
right.
in Runeterra, we're obviously gonna be gearing up. Like you're gonna end up powering up your character. But when it comes to gearing, there's really two paths that I see. There may be more, like maybe they'll come out with a path that I've never foreseen, right? But there's two paths that I see. One is you do a dungeon, you get a new piece of gear, you replace the gear that you have, and that gear is better, right? And you do that over and over and over again, and eventually you have the best gear. The other
Hmm.
path is you have your gear and then you get like a currency or something while you do the dungeon, and you'll use that currency to upgrade the gear to make it better, you know? And both of them, I
Hmm.
think professions need to be viable and like, interact with your gear to make them better or build out craft pieces of gear. But then there's basically a currency path and there's a get your gear path. And which path do you like better?
Wow. Okay. What's crazy is I think there's ups and downs to both of them, but ultimately I like just getting better gear more, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think it's a lot more fun for me to get those new pants and be like, "Oh yeah, dude, I've been looking for new pants." And then I equip them. I see what they look like on my goblin, and I'm like, "Hell yeah! Look at these new pants, guys." For some reason, that's more fun to me than like saving up currency. And like, I mean, like saving up currency can be fun and satisfying too. You know, finally getting enough to upgrade those shoulders that you've been wanting to upgrade for a while. Now you like get out of the dungeon, go over to that shop person or whatever, all excited and giddy. You upgrade your gear, you look all
Yeah.
cool. But like, I don't know, dude. For me, yeah, I don't like sitting with the same pieces of gear for a long time. It's not as
See,
satisfying for me. I
me,
like to
it's the
change out my
opposite.
gear, even if I transmog to the same thing over and over again. It's still more satisfying for me to get different gear.
But for me, I felt like a different way. Like for me, I was doing PvE, right? And I was just trying to get better gear. And even right now, like all gear is pretty much, at least your tier set is upgradable. Like you get your piece of tier and you can upgrade it a bunch of levels. And in PvP is the
Mhm.
same way. But immediately I was like, man, I just want my one set and then I want to upgrade it. And so I
Wow,
immediately went to
really?
PvP. I got all my pieces and now I'm doing Mythic Plus to get this currency that I can use to, because in PvP you can't actually get currency that will upgrade it in PvE. That's how it works now. Like you can get your
Oh,
PvP
okay.
best in slot that'll go up to a certain item level in PvP, but then if you take it into PvE, it's not any better. It's still at level one. But you have to do PvE tasks
Oh.
like Mythic Plus and raids or
Mhm.
whatever, and you get a currency that allows you to upgrade it. And
I
I liked
see.
that, right? That I was able to like take
Mhm.
these pieces and now and I realized why. It's not because it's set and I like the currency model. It's because I don't like RNG very much. I
Okay.
hate that I'm just like hoping to get a piece of gear and it doesn't drop for me. And I did all this work. Like, I don't want to waste my time. Like I don't want to go through a whole Mythic Plus and I don't get the piece of gear that I wanted that's supposed to drop from here, and now it's just like, okay, wait till next week and try that dungeon again to see if you get it. And I feel like, okay, now I wasted a half hour or an hour trying to get this piece and I didn't get it. Versus a currency, I'm like, okay, I didn't get a piece of gear, but I got a currency and now I can upgrade the gear that I have. And going down that route, I feel like is more guaranteed and less
Mhm.
RNG. And I think it's
Okay.
like
I
I would
mean,
like
I
to see a
think
combination.
what was that?
I think I'd like to see a combination where it's like
Yeah, that's
somehow
what I
you
was
can,
gonna
I don't
say.
know, mesh them
Because
together.
I think currencies make for good bad luck protection, right? Like let's say you get a currency at the end of every dungeon that you run, and that currency, after you save up enough of it, after a while, you get to buy a piece of gear of your choice, because then you get
Yeah,
to fill up those slots where you're not getting good gear. Like let's say your bracers, you have not upgraded your stinking bracers in 2 months now because you just haven't gotten any bracers. Well, good thing you've been saving up this currency by running these dungeons, because now you can just buy some bracers that have the eye
that's what
level
I
of
need.
the dungeons you've been running. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think currencies make for great bad luck protection, but upgrading does not feel like anything. Like, it doesn't feel like I got something new when I upgrade
exactly.
my
Yeah,
gear. But I do feel like I got something new when I'm swapping out my pieces of gear for better ones that I got. For me, it's a lot more exciting, at least. Just like it's purely like a mental thing for me. I just like swapping out pieces of gear for better ones. It's fun. It's satisfying. I feel like a new man every time I equip a new chess piece.
yeah. I think it's more satisfying that way. And then, but the RNG bothered me to the point that I was like, okay, I'll just go get this gear and then I'll just upgrade it with currency. But in reality, like I think the better route would have been if I'm getting a currency that at the end of the dungeon, okay, like I didn't get a piece of gear that I wanted, but I got this currency and I can keep saving up this currency and keep running dungeons or whatever to buy the piece of gear that I want instead of getting a currency to upgrade the gear that I got.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean there. I think honestly, Battle for Azeroth, like 2 expansions ago in World of Warcraft, I think they did it the best actually. Just
Didn't
shocking.
they do that? Isn't that what they
There
did?
for them for BFA, it was a crafting reagent that you'd get that drop from the raid bosses.
Yeah,
And
that was pretty good.
blacksmiths and leather workers were actually able to craft raid level gear. That
Yeah.
was the bad luck protection. Is that you could craft any piece of gear you want using the crafting reagents you got from the raid bosses. That also means they could sell them on the auction house and they'd be like absurd prices. I
Mm,
think, right? I don't
they
know if it
were.
was
Yeah, they got pretty crazy in
bind on
prices.
creation or not.
Some of them
Yeah,
were.
I forget. Yeah, I think that's what I think that some of them were, some of them weren't, depending on the eye level. Like you probably could not buy mythic gear off the auction house. Hopefully
By the
not.
way, which I'm totally fine with. I am totally fine with stuff being super expensive on the auction house for these stuff that's very difficult to create. The only problem with that is if you sell gold, now it's pay to
Yeah.
win,
That's what
and
I was
that's
gonna
the
say. I was like,
problem.
they better crack down on gold buying if that's the case. I like it
Yep.
too. I agree. I think it's very cool if you can just sell anything on the auction house. I think that's
Yeah,
insanely cool because it
I
makes
think
for
you should be
just
able to.
interesting scenarios, right? Like somebody's selling this insanely rare quest item that starts this crazy quest line to get this awesome mount. And this person got the item, they're selling it at the auction house. People are bidding for it like crazy, right? I think that's super special. But as soon as you don't crack down on gold buying, as soon as like gold buyers start slipping through the cracks, that becomes very, very annoying very fast. Very frustrating if people are just able to buy their way to good gear and to cool mounts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
They
the
have to be very,
financing
very
model
harsh
needs
on
to
that.
be airtight for this game. Like I do foresee them going free to play because all of their games are free to play, even though I
Yeah,
don't think that's the best model. I think the best
me
model
too.
is like a either a subscription or a box price or something with free to play up to maybe a certain extent, like you can free to play up to level 30 or something like that, you know? Like free to play up to a point and then you have to buy the game to continue. It could, because at the end of the day, the game needs to be financially viable. It just does. Like that's the way the world works. There needs to be money coming in and to make it to, you have to pay employees. Like this is the way the world works. You need, this game needs to make money. But
Yeah.
it's such a slippery slope on free to play, like even I mean World of Warcraft's not even free to play and they're sliding down the slope, you know, like they've got skis at this point. Freaking character boosts, buy
Oh yeah.
transmog, buy pets, buy freaking mounts, whatever you want. You can buy gold and use
Oh
that
yeah,
to
dude.
buy
What was
anything
it?
in the game.
Traders tenders. Yeah.
Traders tenders
Remember?
now, like that was supposed
They
to be
actually have a
like a
premium
in game.
currency in World of
Yeah,
Warcraft. Yeah.
they made a second currency. That's all they did. Like they had, all right, you can buy gold. Well, now you can buy traders tender too. Now you can buy even more currency in the game. Like what the hell? It's it's such a slippery slope, and I see free to play being even scarier. And those are mistakes that are very tough to come back from. And at the end of the day, the health of the game is going to be so important, and that's the quickest way to destroy it.
I
So
completely agree. That's like I don't think World of Warcraft is ever gonna have like a situation where they somehow break their most loyal players at this point. Right? People who
yeah.
survived Shadowlands will survive anything. But
If you survive death, you can survive
yeah.
anything.
If you were in a raid group on at least normal raid difficulty and you killed Zoval, you're playing this game until it dies. That's all I can say. But
Yeah.
the problem is when you introduce stuff like that, when you introduce those currencies and all these new ways to pay Blizzard more money, you're not hurting those people. You're hurting people who think about coming back. Because when they think about coming back and they start looking into World of Warcraft and they see, oh, now you can buy transmogs, now you can buy server hopping, faction
Freaking
hopping, now you can
Cataclysm, you can
buy
buy
freaking traders
the
tenders. What even
character
are these?
boost.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you see that stuff as someone who's considering getting back into the game, that's a huge deterrent. Is like, oh,
Yeah.
I see Blizzard has just become like freaking pay to win central over here. Not even pay to win, but people might assume that when they're seeing stuff like traders tenders in the game, they're seeing all these different ways to pay the money.
100%.
Yeah, it's
If
a
I
it's a
wanted to
big
play
deterrent for people who are
Cataclysm,
thinking about coming back.
if
Absolutely.
I was excited, I was like, "Oh my gosh, Cataclysm was when I started playing. I wanted to play I want to play Cataclysm, like that's when I want to go back and play Cataclysm Classic, and that would be my jumping off point, right? Eventually I'd get into retail. If I log on to
Hmm.
BattleNet and I see, "Oh, okay, you can either just play Cataclysm with your subscription because it's classic, or you can buy the Cataclysm Plus experience which comes with a badass mount and a level 70 character boost." It's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna play
Yes,
Cataclysm
something.
because it's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be forced to buy another thing that's like 70 character boost. And so I'm not even gonna get to do the leveling that I wanted, which was all new leveling in Cataclysm because the whole world changed and that's what I wanted to experience. But now I'm gonna feel stupid because I'm not level 70 with a boost. It's like, well,
Yeah, there's a
you know
lot
what? Forget
about
it. I
it.
don't care anymore. I'm just gonna go do something else. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you know what? Forget it. Let's see what Square Enix is doing with Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah,
How's old school RuneScape looking?
better.
Yeah, it just puts a bad taste in your mouth when you're on the outside looking in. I feel like people
Yeah,
don't notice it when you're actively playing World of Warcraft, but when you're looking at World of Warcraft as someone who is not currently subbed to the game, it pushes me further away from the game. When I see some new form of monetization they're putting in, I'm like, well, I'm glad I'm not playing. Because it's just kind of I don't know. It's just not in the spirit of an MMO for me
it's not.
when stuff like transmog and mounts have actual value because they have that community presence. Other people are going to see you riding or wearing something cool. And if you just bought it, then what's so special about it?
Exactly. Transmog, like gear, the look of gear is important. And when you start selling that to players just to buy it, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it destroys all meaning from like a social sense in the game. Like I feel like there is no actual like social feeling in World of Warcraft of, oh, this person's riding that really cool mount or that person has the new tier set. That's awesome. It doesn't
Hey,
really feel that way for some reason, and I think a big part of it is the fact that everyone looks cool in World of Warcraft now.
can you
Everyone
no
looks
longer
freaking
slash
crazy.
spit on players because I think Asmongold
It
started
was
a thing where you
Asmongold.
slash
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Uh
forgot. I at this point I forget who he was even slash spitting on. Oh, people had the
Someone with
mount.
like a
Yeah,
mount,
it
yeah.
was people with a mount. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is what happened.
And that
Oh
started
my
a
god,
trend
that's
where everyone
right.
was started slash spitting on anyone with store mounts. And so World of Warcraft
Yeah,
removed
Blizzard
slash spit from the
removed it.
game.
We were hurting their whales.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah.
So what's your
They
solution?
patched that out harder than anything they've ever patched out.
So what's your
But
solution? How do you fix this where the game can make money without devaluing and degrading the integrity of the game?
oh, either subscription or box price, preferably not both.
See,
That's
I
my
think
answer.
something different. I've said it to
Okay.
you before. Do you remember?
Okay. Really, how you? Oh, you said battle pass, right? You said battle
Battle
pass in the
Pass.
MMO.
I think a battle passes have a bad rep, but I think a battle pass done right is the way to go. You sell the battle pass to players, and it doesn't give you an increased leveling speed. It doesn't give you automatic cosmetics, but you buy the battle pass, and then as you're doing stuff in the game, almost like Trader's Tender without being able to buy Trader's Tender, right? And not really a
Hmm.
currency, it's like the leveling thing. And as you're doing stuff in the game, you unlock certain rewards, and there's a big, like, at the end of the day, like a battle pass for Apex Legends, right? There was the gun at the end that was like a crazy cool gun. And you if you reach level 100 or whatever and you bought the battle pass, you'll get this thing. And I'm just like, if I see someone with that gun, I'm not like, oh wow, that's pay to win. I'm like, no, like he freaking leveled up 100 times to get that thing. That's badass, you know? And
Yeah,
that's like it
I
makes it where it's
completely
like, oh, it's
agree.
okay. Yeah, that I think a battle
For
pass is the way to go. I really do.
yeah, for me, I I don't usually buy battle pass because of like I want this specific thing. It's usually partly because of that, like because I want this specific thing from the battle pass, but also it's because I'm enjoying the game right now and I'm playing
Yeah.
it a lot. So
You may
might
as
as
well
well
get
buy the
stuff while
battle
you're
pass if I'm
playing.
playing this game all the time, right? Like
Yes.
I'm already getting all these levels in the battle pass. Like yeah, I'm enjoying the game. Why not? So I
And it
agree because
shows you it's
battle
like,
pass
hey,
still
if you bought the battle
encourages.
pass, you have all these levels. You'll get all these levels that you would have gotten had you bought it earlier. You know?
Yeah,
That's good.
I like that because that's usually like, at least in my case, that's the number one most enticing thing about Battle Pass. I won't buy it unless I'm already playing the game a lot. So
Yeah.
it still encourages good game design practice that we have to be
See?
playing the game. We have to be playing the game a lot. We have to be enjoying it for us to want to buy the Battle Pass. So they have to make the game the good amount of content and make it enjoyable content.
This is the
I
way.
do agree, honestly. I think it's definitely one route they can go.
Yeah. I
But
think
I still
subscription
think between
model
those three,
and
I'd be happy.
yeah, I
Like
would be
one of
happy with
those
any of
three.
them, but I do feel like subscription model and box price pushes out a lot of players. Free to
Both of
play
them
in an
together
MMO would be
absolutely
good.
does. I think
Yeah.
subscription is still a deterrent for a lot of people, even if you only do subscription. I think that's a big
Yeah,
thing that deters a lot of people from Final Fantasy 14 and from World of Warcraft.
it does.
But yeah. I mean, like Guild Wars 2 gets by fine as far as I know with just box price. They
Yeah.
only, all you have to do is pay for the expansions for Guild Wars 2. You don't have to pay for anything else. But they also have a premium shop. So they probably make a good amount of money off of that too.
I'm sure they do. I bet probably make freaking more than they do on the box
Yeah,
price.
probably more than off the box price. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably their main source of revenue, honestly.
I think I really feel like a battle pass may be the answer. But so we had a bunch of other topics that we're supposed to get through. I talked about the Callista Ruination event and the PvE in Wild Rift. Really, I made some videos on the Callista Ruination event. It's a great event. If you don't know about Callista and the Ruination and Viego's, it really doesn't get too much into Viego, but Callista is a great character. If you like her, make sure you go do that in Wild Rift. And now there's a PvE. It's not that great. It's just kind of very repeatable and repetitive, but it's pretty cool. I'd give it a shot. And we're not gonna be able to cover anything else of that. We're not gonna be able to go through Riot MMO raid bosses, but we'll do that one next week. And then keeping old content relevant, we covered that one a little bit. So Riot
Yeah.
MMO raid bosses for next week.
Oh,
Sound good?
yeah. Oh, I know this is kind of off the cuff. Do we have any 2XKO news? Is there anything new on that? It's been a while since we've been here in the pub, so
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean
like
2XKO is
has there been
still kind of
anything?
going through the whole they're getting out the beta soon. I know I signed up for that, but I
Yeah,
don't
me
think there's
too.
anything else. There's no new characters. Alawi, they had some new videos out on her. She looks freaking awesome. Alawi was a confirmed
Yeah.
champion, right? From the last time when we did this? I don't know. So
I
if you don't know,
believe
Alawi's a
so.
new
I'm
champion.
pretty sure. Yeah.
Y-
He didn't know, here she is.
yeah. So Alawi looks really cool. I mean, I love the freaking art style of 2XKO. I'm gonna play the destruction out of this game. I hope that they come out with like a collector's edition with a nice little board thing because I'm a sucker for that. And I just need something to hold me over. And like without Riot Forge, I feel like I want more Runeterra. And I'm playing Legends of Runeterra and I'm playing League of Legends now and I'm playing even Wild Rift now. And I don't really care much to team fight tactics. For some reason, I suck at it. Like I can never get past last place. I don't know why I'm so trash. I'm missing something, but it didn't really do a good job of teaching me how to play. So I don't really care for it, but it looks great. I want to get into it, but there's not enough. Like I want to be in the world of Runeterra, and I can't be. And I can only replay Rune King so many times, you know?
Yeah, we're living now. I don't know if this is our first like real podcast in a post Riot Forge era. What was our last podcast episode? I think it was like 2 episodes ago or something now, where we had the collector's edition tier list, and
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like post Bandle right?
Yeah, I mean, I look at them every day too. It hurts.
Yeah, so we are now living in a post Riot Forge world where we don't constantly have that next, like, purely just single player immersive Runeterra experience just like around the
Yeah,
corner anymore. And 2x KO is really the next major, and even though like 2x KO, I'm not expecting anything crazy lore wise out of this game, right? But it's the
probably not.
next major game that takes place in Runeterra that we're gonna have. So that
Yeah.
alone has me excited for it.
Yep, they're still taking up signups for the playtest, so we'll include a link in the description below if you want to sign up for the playtest. I know I did. Conquest, make sure that you do it, and
Oh
hopefully
yeah, I
one of
did.
us gets into it.
Yeah, dude. I'm really hoping so. I'm still so surprised by our limited roster, but I'm expecting it to still grow at least a little bit more
Oh,
before
100%.
launch, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
still expecting like at least like 2 more reveals.
Give me Kindred, but if you pick Kindred, it counts as both slots. Please. Oh man, that would be so cool.
I agree. I still think that's very cool. The idea of like a entirely like predetermined team of two like that,
Yeah,
and they would just
that
be
would
like
be so
super
cool.
synergy. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah, like
sick.
that's their strength is they're super synergistic and you're swapping out a lot. They're not like
Yeah,
their strength isn't like speed or toughness or power. Like their strength is, I don't know, call it
yeah. Like
dexterity. Like
they'd be very
their swap
technical,
is
I
very fast.
imagine.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be awesome, man. Please. But all right, I hope you enjoyed this episode and we'll continue this conversation in the next one, right here in the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. You can find me at Entgrove on socials and YouTube.
And you can find me at Conquest95 on Twitter.
And to stay up to date on the goings on for this podcast specifically, follow us at the Brazen Hydra on Twitter, where you can add us questions, suggest topics for us to talk about. You can also find us at thebrazenhydra.com. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one.
Man, we got real ranty there, huh? We got real ranty.